So welcome back to another spooky chapter review of Dark Gathering, and we are at chapter 44. Now this chapter was pretty heavy, and first and foremost I kind of want to read this excerpt that was at the end of the chapter by the author and how they wanted to go about this chapter. So first and foremost, the author thought that this chapter wouldn't do well because they were wavering between whether they should just write everything in one chapter or split it, but came to find out during the time of when this chapter was released, it is one of the many or few chapters that were extremely popular towards readers. And as I read this chapter, I can understand why. So going back to first and foremost chapter 43, where they were dealing with the grandma ghost who was taking souls, if you look into her face, and then she put them into creepy baby dolls. And then she would put the baby dolls into this funnel and then burn them and purposely lure out the Shinigami who takes the person who just deceased and reaps their soul. It goes way more in depth in this chapter, but obviously the Shikigami saved Keitaro's soul, and she's so cool. Like I love the design of her, right? And you thinking all is said and done, which it kind of is. So the excerpt, which I'm gonna go first and then go towards explaining what happened in the chapter, the author said something that, like, bro, actually, no, I'm not gonna go into the excerpt. I'm gonna put into with the review and everything of the chapter. So the chapter starts off basically where Castle H is helping to, because remember, Castle H is all about binding and keeping whoever's within her curse there. Basically, she is a domain. She is a domain. So since Shikigami, I think it's Gyu, protected Keitaro and she froze grandma and shattered her into pieces and only her head is like there, we start to see the background story of the grandma ghost, and it is so sad, right? So what happened is grandma ghost is screaming and then she excludes all of this black smoke, and we have a Yayoi accidentally inhale some of that black smoke, and then what happens is it starts to trigger memories. So she purposely took, I guess you can say, Yayoi's consciousness and then revert her back to many years ago, aka the 1920s of Japan, where she was born and raised, right? So the first memory that we come across where Yayoi is now conscious in the grandma's body as a young child, probably no more than like 5-6 years old, right? She is there with her father, and laid before her is a woman, a deceased woman. Comes to find out is her mother. And you're thinking, dang, we gotta start off the chapter with like a mom. And not only that, she got the mom hairstyle, bro, in anime. You know, the hair that goes to the one side, ponytail, low ponytail. You already know once you have that hairstyle, bro, it's GG raps for you, bro. She's deceased and she's a little girl, so she's seeing her deceased and her father is just bawling beside her. And then all of a sudden she sees this dark figure, which is the Shinigami. The Shinigami inhales her soul, and it did basically an Aiko face stealer, and the other version of it in this series, except this one in Dark Gathering, butchers you and torments you before stealing your face. The Shikigami, once it sucks in your soul, then it shows your face. This one looks actually closer to Aiko, the face stealer from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, except that you have to be completely gone and rid from this world before it takes your soul. And from there, grandma. The thing is, grandma was always capable of seeing spiritual entities, seeing, supernatural entities since she was a young child. Something very similar to Yayoi, right? So we're starting to see throughout her life, she continuously sees the Shinigami throughout her life. and it keeps going after the people she loves, right? So what after her mother, then years later, by the time she's like a teenager, right, and she's going to school and she's coming home from work and everything, one day she sees where the Shinigami is by her front door, and the person that's inside the house is her father. Another day happens, the entire house is engulfed in flames, and her father was inside the house, and everybody had to stop the grandma, who's a teenager at the time, from running into the house to get her father. Her father burned alive, and the Shinigami was there. So it's like, I think it's Imagine Comics, but also this character could probably be found in Marvel. Listen, I don't know a lot about Marvel. I grew up watching a lot of the cartoons and, movies and all that stuff, but the comics, this is why I stick to manga. It's very linear. I don't know where to start. But I do know there's this character called Death, and she makes it very easy for you to transition from the world of the living till the time is you to pass on. Because once she makes her appearance in front of you, and she's actually very lovely, right? It's just to ease you. So when the time does come for you, it's an easy transition. And it is very sad. From the little thing. Also, she's in Sandman. I believe she's in Sandman. She's in the Sandman comics and everything. And she also probably makes appearances in Marvel as well, in the comics at least. So it's something similar to that, but the Shinigami in this just looks like shadowy, creepy figures who at times look like Aiko the face stealer, right? So then after she lost her father to a fire, and he was burned alive, now we have where there was this guy who's there with her when, the whole incident with her father, who eventually became her husband. Now we're getting into the times of World War II. He's a soldier. She already has a kid. She's with his family and everything. And he is dispatched to go to war. So she's praying that her husband is safe and nothing happens to him. But what happens is, and mind you, she had a child. They have a child with each other, and it's a little baby boy. Unfortunately, her prayers are not answered, because while her husband is walking to go to where he needs to go to, the army and all that stuff, go where the men in the unit and all that stuff, she sees the Shinigami figure. Then she gets notice that her husband passed away in battle. Now she has to go to his funeral. Fast forward many years later, now we hit the 1970s, okay? And now she's a grandma. Her son is all grown up. He's a grown man. He has a wife, and now they have a little son. And he's really glad, and he's, thankful to his mom and everything. He thanks his mom for congratulating him both on his marriage and his child, and he's really, really happy, and it seems very sweet. So the son and her daughter-in-law and her grandbaby, they all go out for a day towards the same park where Yayoi, Eiko, and Keitaro are currently at, F Park. So they're going there just watching the view and everything. A little family day out, ain't nothing wrong. Then she starts to get chill. She's looking like Keitaro, but with the vision of Yayoi. Then she looks up into the sky. She looks up into the sky, and she sees that same pitch black hole. And then Shinigami drops and plops itself right behind her son and her daughter-in-law. And she knew immediately what would happen. One day, while she's taking care of her grandbaby, and she's cleaning up the house, and mind you, she was praying prior to that, saying, please protect my son and my daughter-in-law, please protect them and everything. May nothing happen to them. While she was praying, she gets a phone call saying that these two got into a car incident. This woman is so hysterical, and all she says is that she goes to her grandchild and looks at him and saying that you're the last one, you're my only family left, and I'm going to do everything I can to protect you. But lo and behold, Shinigami is right behind her. That's the next victim, her grandchild. And there's nothing you can do to a spiritual entity. Really nothing much. So fast forward a little bit, still a baby. I'm assuming a few weeks or a few days afterwards, while she's outside gardening and just taking care of the house overall, because even though she's old, she's the only caretaker for her child. He's the only remaining family member she has. She lost her mother, she lost her father, she lost her husband, she lost her son and daughter-in-law, and all she's left with now is her grandchild. So when there was news going on, she had the radio on, and they're talking about cases of missing children. There's a kidnapper going out about, and children have been missing since July. They've been disappearing from their houses, and some been missing for 2 months. And they say they're finding bodies of these children and everything, and or body parts like a head. And while she's listening to this, to hearing the news while she's gardening and watering her plants, and she's like, I need to go, because she's leaving the Granbury. Ain't nobody gonna be really coming to the house. By the time she walks past the room that her grandchild's supposed to be in, all she sees is bloody footsteps and the carriage, or what do you call it? Yeah, basically the carriage that's supposed to hold the baby missing. Somebody went into the house when she was not paying attention and kidnapped her grandbaby. Fast forward a few days, an officer brought her to a room and then revealed the body. The kidnapper was so sick, and I'm not going to put the image. Because it's sick. It is sick. This goes into the excerpt that the author for the series was talking about, like when they was making this chapter, and they talking about the now this is where I bring in, even though they didn't show who was the perpetrator, the culprit for kidnapping children and doing horrendous actions to these children. They said, and this kind of makes you think, like, why she went after Eiko first, because the culprit had the same face as Eiko. This is from the excerpt that's at the end of the chapter, and that means it could have been a man or a woman, and they had the same face as Eiko, and they're going around targeting children. And even though I'm not gonna put the image, you know how the Shinigami is face stealers? It is actually disturbing, bro. It's so disturbing. If you want to read it at your own discretions. But as someone, even though I don't want to have kids, I really like kids. I really, really I love kids. And it sicked me to my stomach when I read it last night. And then I went to reread it again to refresh my memory before coming on video. To see, like, when you see depictions of, like, how children get messed up, is not the easiest thing. This was actually a very heavy chapter, and then they had to hit it with a child's death. Okay, what the culprit did to her grandbaby was disgusting. I'm not even like the child's face was this. It was just disturbing. It was disturbing, okay? And she started to scream, and it's understandable, because from everybody she loves, she lost them. She lost them, and for reasons she does not know why. This led to her, she already had white hair, but, like, it turned ghostly. Like, this is levels of Kaneki Ken being tortured, and then his hair completely turning white. Okay, so now she starts walking out in the same outfit that you saw her as a ghost. That's the same outfit she was in before she died. And the bag she's carrying, more than likely is... No, it's not more than likely. But she has a bag, and she's dragging with her to the same place where she burns those creepy looking baby dolls. And while she's going there, she's wondering, why don't y'all go after me? You were going after everyone I cared about. And she ends off before she took herself out. She's going to curse them for as long as she lives. she will never forget them. So, in other words, the whole reason why she cursed F Park while she's there, if you was to see everything that comes full circle, she purposely gathers souls, burns them, because she knows Shinigami are attracted to what? A deceased person's soul, to gather them. And then she consumes them. And she's been doing this for years. For years. This is revenge. She is a revengeful ghost because these Shinigami were going after everybody she loves. So it didn't matter for her at the end of the day of who she starts attacking, innocent people she wanted to attack. It's so long as she can enact her revenge and fulfill it for what she has lost over her lifespan. While it's not right what she's doing, it's understandable of her rage. Her rage that has transcended to the point where now she is a ghost and she can't rest until the job is done. And with Yayoi seeing all of this, and seeing the sentiments, her name is actually Yoriko. And just seeing the life story of Yoriko from a young age, losing her mother. Come to find out she lost her mother due to a heart disease. Her father was from a fire. Her son and her husband is from being shot down. Her son and daughter-in-law car incident, and then her son was kidnapped and basically mutilated. Okay. And then she died from her own self. Okay. So before you know it, she's trying to break out the ice, and then she tries to go for seeing the whole life story, she tries to break out the ice with the same mist arms that Yayoi inhaled. She made it into arms and tried to go for the remaining of the creepy baby dolls to gather up, burn them, and then get the Shinigami to basically eat them alive. Not eat them alive, but eat them, right? And just continue the cycle. But luckily, Yayoi got Castle H to cut off the arms, and now we have with a grandma who is kind of disillusioned about something, but she's looking at Yayoi, but Yayoi looks like a figure to her, a shadowy figure, and she's thinking, is that her grandson? And Yayoi is actually very sympathetic towards her. She admits that she is wrong for her actions, for, hurting innocent people for her act of revenge. But she also understands, because remember, Yayoi, back in episode 1 or chapter 1, when we went back to the incident that happened to her almost two years prior to the current storyline, where she saw the Shinigami were taking people out of the hospital, as well as one of them took her father, but then she lost her mother to the cursed womb, and so on and so forth. So she's understand. So she explains that, as there are many humans, there are many Shinigami. And even though, again, I understand your reasons for your cause and your actions, what you're doing is wrong, but I will help you in your endeavor to target for a specific target. So what she does, she has another plushie, which is basically I'm guessing like a little bird plushie, and she absorbs her into the bird plushie. So she is going to use Grandma Yoriko, as one of her backups for this entire trip to Kyoto to save Ai, because the whole thing is Ai, but we're having side quests, and yeah, okay. But this chapter was overall just really sad. This is not the end though, because even though she managed to capture Grandma Yoriko, the curse of Eiko and Keitaro being stuck in the baby dolls, their souls have not went back into their bodies. Now this is where comes in Mr. Mysterious Man, who has a cursed shop, and he's offering his business card saying, if you come here, I have a way to save your friends. And that's where the chapter ends. So he's probably going to more likely come next chapter help Yayoi to pick up Eiko and pick up Keitaro, because how can a 9-year-old pick up 2 grown people by herself and find a way to put back their souls into their bodies, which is trapped in some creepy looking doll, it's going to look weird to a lot of people that's walking past this park and everything. And mind you, there is a panel showing where people are just probably calling ambulances, calling for medics, because Keitaro and Eiko are not waking up at all. I also want to say this, that with Grandma Yoriko, I don't think it would be smart for Yayoi to unleash her anywhere near Eiko, because the same child kidnapper who mutilates children back during the 70s and who took her grandson has the same face as Eiko, based on the excerpt that's at the end of the chapter. If she was to see Eiko, we're going to go through all of this again, and she may try to attack Eiko. So if Yayoi knows what's good for her, even though we did not see the actual kidnapper, it was alluded to in the excerpt at the end of the chapter by the author, and who was talking with the editor and everything, that was the face of the person committing those crimes against young children during the 70s. So Yayoi, going in the future, if she is to use Grandma Yoriko, Eiko, stay 100 feet away. Do not come nowhere near. If I am to unleash Grandma, you cannot be anywhere near us, for your own safety, if she thinks this through, which most of the time Yayoi does, okay, which is very surprising of a 9-year-old, but nonetheless, this is manga, so there is that. But nonetheless, this was a very heavy chapter. I did not expect it to go that deep, and then showing one of the most creepiest panels I've seen from this manga yet, and it was because of a child. And I am sensitive when it comes to topic of children being depicted in fiction or non-fiction and things that can happen to them, because, you know, like, no matter how you may feel about kids, it's just like, don't go troubling kids. It is sensitive, so I will advise anybody that does go and want to read this chapter to be highly advised that you will see some see the disturbing image. So if this is stuff that makes you queasy, you go skip this chapter. Skip this chapter if you want to, but I mean, if you want to understand the Grandma Yoriko's lore, then please be advised. But like I said, if this is stuff that makes you squeamish, that upsets you greatly, I would say do not go and read chapter 44 if that is the case, because I think they should have put like a warning advise at the beginning of the chapter for people who are, when it comes to children, because that was not a pretty picture. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to put that image on here, simply because, and there are times where I'm like, I'm not putting certain images from Dark Gathering because they are very graphic, okay? But nonetheless, a deep chapter. I felt really bad for Grandma Yoriko, because like, no one wants to go through that. These people are not like Death from Sandman comics or Marvel Universe. Nah, they're wrong. They're wrong. But like, nonetheless, this also is giving lore into, also for Yayoi, when it came to her parents. You know, because both of these characters experienced something very similar. But on the other side, Yayoi lost one of her parents to something that was completely out of his class compared to Shinigami, right? But now we're waiting to see how will we get back Eiko and Keitaro, and how this mysterious man in glasses, who looks like from the guy in Katekyo Hitman Reborn, and he also looks like what's his name from Bleach, Uraraka, not Uraraka, I can never remember his name properly. Okay, but he looks like him, but that means he's powerful. Oh, this man must be powerful. Uratake, yeah. This man must be powerful as hell, because he got the drip. He got that drip with the small glasses, the bucket hat, wearing the keep an eye out for him. But nonetheless, guys, do tell me in the comment section below on how you felt about Dark Gathering. I forgot the name real quick. Dark Gathering chapter 44. If you already read the chapter, Do tell me how you felt overall. If this is your first time reading, again, like I said, warning advised. But if you are planning to read this chapter and you have, do tell me your thoughts overall about this and what do you think is going to happen come next chapter. The links are in the description box so you guys can go check it out. And I'm Kimmy-chan, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! With